Oh,
So welcome to December.
well, welcome to December indeed, and all preparations for midwinter.
Yeah, my favourite month, my absolute favourite month.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I've actually got a favourite month. I say that all the time. I'm really looking forward to this, and it's ever so good. And I'm really enjoying December so far. And there's lots and lots of gardening to do. When isn't there?
Well, yeah.
and that's sort of working. But we are promised a bit of sleep this weekend.
Oh, right. Okay. We don't get it very often down here, being far south and right by the sea. We don't often get snow. But...
No, you won't. No. I mean, the sea makes such a difference.
Yeah.
You know, we lived by it before. It's sort of the difference. You know, you can grow plants. Like 10 degrees difference. It's a lot.
Oh yeah. But we very rarely get frost. I've got an enclosed garden as well, so we've got a little microclimate going on there, really.
Yeah, you have. Yeah. Whereas I'm 500 foot up, and we get 40, 50 mile an hour winds, so it's a bit different. The winds do stop the frost, though. Yeah, you just disappeared. Are you still there? Hello. Well, I thought I had Rachel. Maybe I do have Rachel in a minute, because we had been talking about Nemetona. And so I'm hoping that we're going to talk about Nemetona again in a minute, because Rachel's just been doing some work on him, really. And that'd be really nice. But I do seem to have lost her. Just a moment while I just go and double check. Are you... Oops. Are you there? Well, yes, we're back. But don't worry about it.
I've had webcam problems all week, so I've got a brand new webcam. I'm beginning to think it's not my webcam that's the problem. Oh well, technology, eh?
Yeah. Oh, that was a blow. Yeah. Well, I dribbled for a bit, just to keep us going, in case you want to use it. And we was going to talk about Nemetona, wasn't we?
Yes, I have been. I'd heard her name before.
Right.
I haven't really looked into her.
Right.
So I did this week. I'm going to work with her for December. So, yeah, fascinating. Goddess of sacred spaces.
And particularly wooded sacred spaces.
Yes, groves and things, isn't it?
Yeah. And I looked up my old history, because my history takes me to her a bit. The place where I grew up in North Devon, and they understand. I mean, the whole place was forested. Like 1,000 years ago, everywhere was forest. And there are 3 Nymptons very close to where I lived, in a sort of they're in a sort of a triangle between a town called South Molton and another small one called Chumley, and the bigger town of Tiverton.
Yep.
And there's King's Nympton, George Nympton, and Bishop's Nympton. I imagine the King's, George, and Bishop stuff is probably medieval and probably post-conquest medieval. I'm not really sure we had bishops until the conquest, actually.
No.
But the Nympton bit, they definitely say was a big forest.
Oh, right.
And it comes from the old Celtic word nimit, which means sacred grove. But I mean, goodness sake, this would have been some grove. I mean, there'd be thousands and thousands of acres in it, but a sacred forest, I mean, we had loads of them.
Yeah.
So, why not? And they were all special when I was growing up. My people So, oh yeah, go down Nympton, you'll be all right down there, and you go down and do a bit of a journey, or go down and talk to the trees down there and that. And it was really nice and very pretty. There's little rivers around them. They are slightly enclosed by rivers, but not really, and there's rivers running through and that. And the trees that are left, I mean, it's mostly farmland now, but the trees that are left are beautiful. And some of it is ancient, you know, in the sort of woodland trust ancient forest level of stuff. So yeah, so we definitely had them. So what have you found out about the place then?
Well, I've just started my research into her. I'm looking to the side because you can't see it. I've set up a little altar too. That's why.
Oh, wonderful! Yeah.
Yeah, I've got holly and pine from the garden, and I've got various bits and pieces. So, it's sacred space, isn't it? That's quite that word or term can cover so many things. I think of it as being in the actual circle when you're in ritual, but it is groves of trees, isn't it? And it's also it could also be your home, I guess, couldn't it? Because it's boundaries, isn't it? It's enclosed spaces. I've only just started, but it is quite fascinating. But it did get me thinking about the term sacred space and how we all interpret it, really.
And it does me too. And I mean, we have, you know, places we think of as sacred, like Avebury or Stonehenge or our local stone circle or whatever it is that we've got near us. But Rachel, where on the earth isn't sacred?
Well, yes, that's very true. Even your concrete car park has probably
absolutely
magic to it, hasn't it?
Well, and it is. I mean, okay, it's sort of suffocated with the concrete, you know, the land is, but it's still there underneath. And we found the same sort of thing with Nemerensis, very much in London. And we spent 25 years in London before we moved back out again. And London is an incredible place. And it's like a big space. And now they've got the M25 round it. Actually, that's been very weird because it does encircle the place.
Yeah.
And it's quite odd to us if we drive up, which we very rarely do now, but we used to. And we very rarely went on the M25 because it's one of the biggest car parks in the world, or it used to be.
London is a nightmare, isn't it?
So it's like but you have to cross it and you can feel it.
Yeah.
You do. And it's like a different space inside. And then there's all the little villages that were villages in London. And they all Lambeth has its own space. The city has its own space. Islington has its own space.
Yeah.
It's different when you move from one to the other.
Yeah.
And they're like Nemerensis in themselves.
Yeah. But London's got parks. It has got greenery, hasn't it? It's got
massive. Yeah. But it isn't just we found that it wasn't just the greenery. It's how people had thought of it over a couple of thousand years.
Right.
Because the Romans really sort of started London. Well, they didn't actually. The Vikings did. Before them, and a chap called Elen and all that stuff. But it's, the place that is London has always been sort of special for people.
It's a big melting pot, isn't it? It's got
everything in it, yeah. And it really is. And it can be very weird and frightening sometimes, but it can also be very nice.
Any big city can, though, can't it? Any big city's got that kind of the darker areas, shall we say?
Well, I expect you have down there, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, I live right on the edge of the city, but you probably wouldn't go wandering around at 3 o'clock in the morning in the streets. But then you probably wouldn't do that in most places. So.
Well,
yeah,
not cities, no, but yeah.
I think people often say to me, "Oh, where's your favourite sacred space?" And I think actually it's probably my garden. I think they're expecting me to say Stonehenge,
Yeah.
and I love Avebury. I've had the honour of going into the centre of Stonehenge and
Yeah,
doing
same here.
like,
Yeah.
you probably have. And it's definitely an experience.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a bit too touristy for me. I think it's got the energy really of too many people wandering, interfering. Well, it's lost it a little bit for me. I would much rather go to Avebury, but I think Dartmoor. I know you're very familiar with Dartmoor. I'd much rather be standing in the middle of the moors in Dartmoor. To me, that's a far more sacred place.
Oh, it is.
I think that it's personal, isn't it? Sacred space is very personal.
It is. And I'm old enough to be lucky enough that when Dad first took me to Stonehenge, we parked the car in the verge on what was then the A30.
Yeah.
And there wasn't even a fence.
No.
So you climbed over the ditch and walked up the hill.
We used to have as kids sitting on the fallen stones.
Yeah. And that was something else.
Mid-70s, wasn't it? I think they put the fence up. But yeah, I can remember going.
This is back in, 1957, 58?
Right.
So, I mean, there were just sheep wandering through it. And Dad actually took me there for both midsummer and midwinter.
Right.
So, and those I remember very, very well. And we were lucky both times with the sky.
Yeah.
And I mean, midsummer when it comes up over the Heelstone is like
fantastic.
And I don't know whether you've ever done midwinter. But
no, I haven't actually.
Yeah. No, there's the Trilithon, can't spell. The three arches, where the midwinter sun sets down through the central arch. Beautiful. And of course, you know what sunsets are like, especially a good one up there. And I have got a picture of it, but not one that we took, because when in 1958 we weren't expecting people to put barbed wire fences up and turn it into Auschwitz.
Well, we didn't have our phones or anything when we were kids.
No. I mean, Dad did have his camera, and there may well be a photograph of this sort of little small girl sitting on a stone, because he would do that. But it was like, and Dad said, "Come on, watch, and down, fire."
Yeah, fantastic.
And you sort of go, later. I mean, at the time, it's just absolutely fantastic and gorgeous, and But later, you sort of think, the guys who built that, they really knew what they were doing.
It does make you wonder, doesn't it? That kind of, maths probably involved in it somewhere, building it so that it fell that way.
Yeah. And you get a big building firm or an architect's firm, and they would really puzzle their heads to do that.
Yeah.
And our ancestors just sort of said, "Come on, then let's do it."
Yeah. Throw a few ropes around it, pull it up. Left a bit.
Literally, yeah. Did you ever hear of a chap called Tor Heyerdahl?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Easter Island stones.
Yeah.
There is a film of him doing it, and he actually worked. He was very good in that way. He worked with the local people, who were the ancestors of the people who put the heads up. And he said, "Well, how did you do it?" And so he said, "Like this." And I think it was a dozen of them, and they used Archimedes' lever principle because there are very few logs, and there haven't been any trees or logs on Easter Island forever or for ages, and lifted them, and gradually over a few days with putting stones underneath, they gradually got it upright.
Yeah.
And then they jiggled it with ropes onto the platform, and they got the level right. And I think it took them about a week or 10 days, maybe not even that, to do it. And there was about a dozen of them doing it.
Yeah.
So, you know, all these sort of things, like it took hundreds of millions of slaves and this sort of thing. Well, no, it didn't. And you think, well, if they can do that, then I'll bet you they use something similar with those bloody great stones in Stonehenge.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
It's fascinating, isn't it? And you do wonder why and what it was for. And there's so many theories, isn't there? Different ideas that have come up over the years. But there's definitely something magical about the place.
There is. And it is a nemeton.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely.
It definitely is. And like you, I mean, my garden, the whole house space, because we've got a garden like all around us, and we've got like boundary around us, because we're not in a street, we're in the middle of a farm.
Yeah.
And that is mine, and the rest of it enjoys to come in and come out. You know, the spirits come in and they go out again, and they chat with ours, and ours go out for a walk with them and that. But this is mine. And I don't know, when we moved, I always do it with everywhere we go. It's like the first time I'm actually sort of like moving in, and I sort of say, I promise to look after you.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that talks to my house.
Well, people think I'm absolutely crazy, because I was always taught that it's okay to use your own blood. And it used to be that, you know, you had to have a knife. But nowadays, diabetes has made life really easy for us.
Just one prick and you're fine.
Absolutely. And it's great. So you got your little diabetes finger pricker thing. And so, you know, and the house had told me it wanted me to do this. So before any of us walked in, the front door, prick finger, blood on the left, blood on the right, blood on the top lintel. And we could go in.
Yeah.
And that was my promise.
Yeah.
It's a promise, like, to the goddess to look after her space.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You know, and to work with her.
Yeah. I think it's looking after it as well, isn't it? If you look after it, it's hopefully going to serve you well and keep you safe. But I tell it when I'm, you know, we're going away for a few days. We'll be back. Don't worry.
Yeah. Come back
in, hand on the wall. It's all right. We're back.
No, I always pat the door as I go out. You know, I'm only going down the shops. I'll be back soon. Or I'm going down to Exmoor. I'll be back next week, or whatever.
Oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one that's bonkers.
Well, I do it to my car. I mean, I sort of pat her as I go to unlock her. As, hi, come on, we're off to so-and-so today.
Yeah.
Is that all right with you? Yeah, that's fine. Okay. And I mean, please. And so then you get back in, you come back home from your journey, and you get out the car, and I give her a pat and sort of say, thanks very much. That was a great ride. And then I come in.
Our cars have always had names. Our cars, yes. The one we've got at the moment is Crichton. The last one was Dave. It's just the way.
It just depends what they tell you, don't they?
Yeah, it's just how it happened, really.
Yeah, you know what their name is, and it isn't something you thought like with your head. You just know, you know. My current one's got a frightfully posh name, which was not, you know, definitely not something I thought of. But she's silver, and so it was like I'm Arianrod, the goddess of the moon and stars.
Oh, perfect. So
it's like, okay. I mean, she's a Cleo.
There's nothing wrong with having aspirations.
The previous one was a Cleo. Well, I've had Cleos for a little while now. Previous one was, and he didn't give me his name for about months. And I was actually driving up one of the hills on my way to Exmoor for a week, and I was sort of halfway up this hill on a right-hand bend that does that, you know, sort of elbow variety. And I get about to the corner, and he says, "My name's Gwyn." Right, fine, carry on.
To lose your
Now, what did you say? You know, when we get on the straight again, now, what did you say? And he was really funny because, and I learned it that week with him on Exmoor, because it's quite fun driving. There's some lovely swoops and dives and straights, things like that, as well as all the corner bits. And there's one bit where we have to go, and you sort of come down this hill, or not very steep hill, down this hill on a straight, and then across this cattle grid, and then up a straight up the other side of the hill. And of course, cattle grids go as you go across them. And he wanted to go across at 40 miles an hour. So and we were going up the other side, and he said, "I'm a truck, I'm a truck, I'm a truck." Yes, dear, yeah, whatever you say. But he did prove it, because I needed to carry a lot of stuff around with him, and you could put more stuff than you believe you could put in him.
Just spend a bit of time and space. Yeah,
you know, space time. What's that? Not interesting. And it is really weird. So I thought, okay, you are a truck, fine, whatever.
We all have dreams.
Well, he obviously managed to make his real, and I must say Ariane Rod's very good like that as well. So we just have to sort of see. It's interesting. But I'm so glad I'm not the only person who talks to their cars in this sort of way, because we're going to do it.
Told everybody out there how completely bonkers we are too. So if anybody out there talks to their cars too, and their houses, we want to know. Make us feel that we're not alone.
And I bet you there's masses of people who do, but they just feel, I can't tell anybody that, they'll think I'm bonkers. And you sort of go, no, there's loads of us who are bonkers, it's fine, be bonkers. And it really works. But it's like, you know, even the car is a nemeton.
Yes, yeah.
She looks
in it, aren't you? And it keeps you safe, and
and it gets you from hither to yon, you know, successfully. And I find if I'm nice to her, she with Gwyn we had a couple of things, and like something like fell off on, I don't know, something like the M54 or something frightful, and yeah, quite. It really was, and it was like, and I was in the middle of everywhere, and there's about 10 lanes either side of me, kind of feeling. And he kept on going until we could get off, and nothing fell off, and there weren't any frightful things happening. And I found out what it was eventually underneath, and it needed mending and that sort of thing, so it got mended, but he got me all the way home. State, so I wasn't like stuck on the side of a motorway waiting to be mended, you know, especially someone like that, which never feels safe. So, you know, I think if you talk to them and look after them, and then the spirit of car, I mean, we talk about spirit of place, but I mean, why not spirit of car?
Why not?
Then sort of says, okay, she's good to me, you know.
Everything has the energy. The car has energy, doesn't it? The house has energy, and we're all connected, aren't we? So it makes sense to me anyway. Makes absolute sense.
I think it does to an awful lot of people. They just don't get the opportunity to hear that other people think like that.
Yeah, because you don't go around telling people that you talk to your car.
Come on, guys! Everybody, tell everybody you talk to your car. It's fine.
without fear of the men in white coats coming to get you.
No. You're not normal. Do you realise this, Rachel? You are not normal. Exactly.
I'm very relieved to hear it. I think it is, isn't it? We work with energy of crystals. We work with energy of plants. Why not with the energy of the house, with the car? You know. But everywhere it doesn't, like we say, the concrete car park, it's all got that energy.
It has. Some of it sometimes sort of says, I wish I hadn't got all this concrete on me.
Oh yeah, some of it's pretty miserable energy, but yeah.
And it all does go back to itself. I mean, it's something. I'm not a great fan of the sycamore tree, largely because it was brought into this country quite late. An awful lot of it happened in the Tudor period for ships and building things. I mean, they used oak, yes, but they knocked so much oak down, ruined our forests. That are nematodes, and that they also brought in sycamore, which is very good for furniture and all sorts of things like that. But it's useless for our wildlife because it didn't develop here. So I think
so there's not that.
About half a dozen, maybe a dozen species live in it. Whereas I mean, there's 400 or 500 species living in an oak.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like. It's made for here, you know.
Yeah.
We work together. But on the other hand, I know you've had problems with a sycamore in your garden or your house in your life. I certainly have.
My garden's not big enough for it. It's got a small rowan in it and a Christmas tree. It's not big enough for what I call a proper tree.
But they seed massively. The seeds.
Yes.
Have wings, so they're like little helicopters, so they travel, and so they can go anywhere. But you've let a piece of old concrete car park, say, and get sycamore seeds blown in it, and they go down the crack and they bust it. 5 years you don't have a concrete car park.
Yeah, you see them, don't you? You do see them growing through cracks in pavements and things. Yeah.
I've just had one growing in the side of my house, which my builders just
cut probably not the best place for it.
I did tell him it was did tell the tree it was going to happen beforehand, but he's been poisoned.
Right.
Because I'm sorry, he will have the house down.
Yeah, you'd never get it out of there by just trying to pull it either, I would have thought.
Only by knocking the house down.
Yeah, because the roots all get in between the bricks, don't they? Yeah. So there are some things you have to do for the greater good.
Well, we talked about it, and he said, "It's all right, I'll go." And it's apparently, I mean, people are still going to think I'm bonkers. The tree said the poison's an easy death; it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that. It's kind of like being put to sleep, I guess, isn't it?
Well, that's sort of what he put it to me. So, being geeky as you know I am, I'm now going to have to go and I know what the poison is because my surgeon gave it to me, and I'm going to have to look up the chemicals in it and see what they do. Because I'm that sort of a bloody geek. Oh yeah, that does sound like. Don't invite me to dinner, for God's sake. It's hopeless.
It's all about learning.
Well, whatever turns you on, you know. I mean, that's one of the. I like to know right down to the bottom bit what's happening. Okay, if I've got 5 minutes to spare, and I'll do it. I'm not so ridiculous that I put off doing something important to do it. But,
yes, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I'm researching poison.
Yeah. Don't tell friendly policeman that. No.
Yeah, don't let them see your search history on your computer.
Yeah, I mean, it's like all those poor buggers who were sort of like looking up various farm fertilizers and then getting accused of making bombs. Yes, you can.
You can. Yes.
And it's like, no. This is about the land. Oh dear. So
it's interesting you're saying about the tree, though. I do get occasional questions from people saying, I've got a plant that's growing in the wrong place, or I've got a tree that's damaging the water pipes, or but they don't want to move it because it's going to have to be chopped down or dug up or whatever. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to upset it. But I think you have to be sensible about stuff, don't you? You have to be practical about things. And like I say, talk to it
You
first.
do.
Tell it what.
If we could encourage people to actually talk to the tree.
Yeah.
And say, now look, you know, I'm sorry, but you really did make a mistake growing in this brick wall, because actually that's my house.
Yeah, you're being an arse. Now come on.
Exactly. Yeah, we do go that. And then you sort of, I mean, I did this literally with that tree, and sort of like, you really can't, because I can't live here if the house falls down.
Yeah.
And it's even worse if it falls down on me or the cat. And notice my priorities. And
I wasn't going to say anything.
Probably or the cat or me, actually. Husband, oh yeah, of course, and him. But you know, we did talk about it, and there was sort of a bit of like, well, I just sort of landed, and you know, I'm a seed, so I grew. And he said, well, it was really a mistake. You know, I'm sorry. You've had your time, but you got to go. And didn't really have much argument about it. There were 2 or 3 other sycamores that were seeded around my hedge, and I was pulling up sycamores out of the grass, you know, little seedlings. No, we can't have this. This is not on. And anyway, they were causing shade, which was killing other plants and things.
Yeah.
And so, like, no, you got to go. And so last February, the tree surgeon took them down and poisoned all of them, because they will come straight back.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you cut them down, it's just like pruning.
Yeah.
No better.
Yeah, that feels much better. Let's grow even stronger.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite seriously. And so I talked to them all before we went. And so, I mean, that's Nemeton stuff again.
Yeah.
That we sort of sat with each. I mean, you probably do this, you know, you know, you're going to change something, or you've just arrived somewhere. And I spend, you know, quite a lot of time, like weeks, just in a comfy chair in the garden. Right. Now, I'd sort of like some of these plants. How are you feeling about that? And what do you want to happen here? And it all like grows together.
Yeah. I had a gift this week, actually, talking about seeds going into just dropping. We had a holly. I found a little holly seedling, a few years ago now, which I'm assuming a bird must have dropped the seed, or its poop or whatever. And I tried the seedling because it was growing in the middle of the pathway. And it is now, you know, 3 feet high. And it actually got berries on this year. I was very excited. I go, like, yay, in the garden, because this holly thing had like 3 berries on it. But that was a gift.
It's a start.
And I potted it up, and it's very happy. Obviously happy enough to have berries on it. So yeah, I was a little bit excited. I was quite a lot excited, actually.
I would be very excited. I've had a gift too, in that there's oaks all round us, but there were no oaks in any of my hedges. I've got 3 hedges around the big garden at the back.
Right.
And then I was weeding under the buddleia out the front there, and there it was, little oak seedling.
Oh, right.
Me too. So I've got to get in there now, because it's the right time of year to move them. And they're going into my north hedge, where they will be fantastic. And they're obviously local. They're obviously seeds of the oaks that are around here.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I've done it before. I did it 20 years ago with an oak seedling that a friend gave me. And when I left the last house, there was this 25, 30-foot tree.
Right.
Beautiful, you know. So I know that they will go.
Yeah.
and it will be absolutely lovely. So I have to do that. Well, I'd like to do that by this weekend, but we are promised a bit of rain and sleet tomorrow, so it might have to be today.
Yeah, don't want to be gardening in sleet. That's not a lot of fun.
Not down your neck. No. I don't like that. No, I'm not very good at that. But I mean, if something is totally desperate, yes, I'll go out and do it. But if it could possibly wait till tomorrow and it stopped, yes, please.
Yeah.
And there's more Nemeton work, you see.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm a human. I don't work well in sleep. Sorry.
One of the times actually that we were in Stonehenge, it hailstoned on us. And it is quite flat, isn't it? So of course the wind comes across there, and then we got hit with hailstones. I don't think I've ever been.
Oh, it hurts. It hurts.
It's not pleasant. That and Knowlton. We were at Knowlton, ritual run by Professor Hutton, actually. Fantastic ritual, and it was in bulk. There was snow still on the ground, and I think it took about a week for my feet to defrost after that one. That was very cold.
If you're going out in the snow, I mean, we do get it still here. And so we didn't used to get it in Hereford, or I think we got it twice when it was really worth having. So normally I wasn't too worried. But so I got myself these sort of thermal lined wellies, and I've got thermally lined socks and everything. And honestly, it's worth it.
Yeah.
If you're going to do something like that. But I mean, if it's only going to be once or twice, you sort of think, I'll risk frostbite. It won't happen.
Fantastic ritual. Both of them were fantastic rituals, just very cold.
Yeah. Was it Chris doing the one at Stonehenge?
I don't know. I don't think it was. It might have been. No, it wasn't my initiation. I was initiated at Stonehenge. It wasn't that one. I can't think when it was. Oh, it was a few years ago now. My brain,
Well, Christine Clear, she's a friend of mine.
Oh no, it would have been the Dorset. It would have been a Dorset Grove one.
Right. Okay. Fine. Yeah. No, Christine, she invited me to come and help with the. Is it midsummer or midwinter? Might have been. Well, probably both. One time, it was the first time I went there with her, and because we brought mead and bread and things for it, and because our mead was in a glass bottle, the authorities wouldn't let us take it in. We learned. I mean, we decanted it into plastic bottles after that. It was fine. But it was like,
yeah.
Right. Okay. So we're going to do this ritual. It's going to be fine. How are we going to do this? Okay. Well, we let it work, and it actually worked.
Yeah.
But it was one of those cases where you really had to call on the place to we can't do this bit. Are you going to be all right with that? What do we do instead? And actually, a couple of us had got plastic water bottles in our pockets, and it was absolutely okay to use water. So we did. But it was like, really, we really look like a gang of people who are going to have a rave in the middle of your circle, don't we? Yeah. It's about 40 odd.
We had a problem with the ceremonial sword one time.
Yeah.
Really, seriously, it's not that sharp. We aren't going to do any damage.
Excuse me, this is actually a wooden one. Hello. No, we're not going to bash each other on the head with it even.
It makes me laugh, the Stonehenge ones, really, with all the tourists asking to take your photographs, because you're all dressed up, aren't you, in the regalia? It makes me laugh. All the tourists taking a photo.
Well, actually, we weren't. We didn't used to dress up.
Right. Well, ones that we did, it was an agreement with English Heritage that we could have private access as long as we dressed up and did the whole, shebang for the tourists, which got us free access to the middle of the stones. So, we did it.
Oh, dear God. It really annoys me that. Chris and I, well, I mean, we would dress up occasionally. I don't like dressing up. I just don't do dressing up.
I think cloaks, while you're trying to run a ritual, are totally in the way. I gave up wearing mine at the rituals that I run because it just gets in the way.
Yeah, and I mean, you can set fire to yourself quite easily. And also, you sort of think, well, actually, these weren't robes and such when the people did it. Those were actually your daily dress with a bit of ornamentation.
Yeah.
They wore their daily dress. And I mean, if you want sort of super, you want the guy, you want one of the posh guys or something, your robes hadn't got any decoration.
No.
And you tied it together with a bit of rope.
Yeah.
And, so I sort of think, well, I'm wearing my everyday kit. It's clean. I'll do that. I'll be clean. And but this is my everyday clothes. And the other thing it does for me is like, this isn't separate from my everyday life.
Yeah.
This is me.
That's the key, isn't it? We often dress up to, I think it's used as a switch, isn't it? I'm putting my cloak on because that switches me into my magical mode. But actually, if you're living it every day,
you're always in it. I mean, you're in it now. You got your blue shirt on, and I got my black shirt on, and we're fine.
Yeah,
and we're living it now.
Yeah.
Very occasionally, where's my big dress up bit, which I will actually use occasionally. Hang on, it's coming.
I'm slightly scared now. What will Ellen bring out of the dressing up box?
You might be slightly. If I get it to stay there, I'm not sure I can because it's meant to go over.
Fantastic. Is that heavy? It
Yes.
looks quite heavy.
Yeah.
Fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah. And I do, and I wear this sometimes like that, but mostly on my top hat. When I go to, because it fits, that's why it doesn't quite fit on me, because it goes over the hat. And mostly when I go down to Boscastle or somewhere like that for Samhain.
Right. I love Boscastle.
Everybody dresses up for that, but it's not for the gods. It's for each other.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
I love any excuse for a top hat for me. I'm there.
But it's going to be a bit difficult now because mine's acquired. It's got ribbons all down it and that, which is what it wanted, and loads of badges like "May the Force be with you" and things like that on it, which is absolutely great, and some Boscastle ones. And a couple of years ago, it acquired cat's ears. Yeah, they're actually sort of like what a kiddie wears, for their party. But it wanted those, so it's got cat's ears on it now. So I've got to work out if that will fit between the cat's ears. But if you watch, I mean, particularly someone like the Silurian sides and the blackface Morris sides, and you see what they put on their hats.
I love Morris dancers. I absolutely love Morris dancers.
Absolutely.
For hours.
Have you ever been down to Boscastle, Samhain?
I have. I've visited Boscastle, but not actually been on Samhain.
Oh, you should go.
Yeah. I've got a list of stuff for the next couple of years that's all packed up.
You should go. You really, really should. It's fantastic. I know Cassandra, who runs it quite well, and she runs it alongside of Beltane Morris, the Dartmoor group.
Right.
who are wild.
Mm.
I mean, they're all pretty wild that come there, but I mean, they are seriously, and they're gorgeous. They grew out of the old woman's side Iron Maiden.
Oh, right, okay.
And then and the woman who ran it a couple of years ago, she sort of said, you know, I'm not going to be running you anymore. And that was at the Beltane, at the May Day ceremony up at Haytor. And she said, you know, it was like her goodbye, and that was all sort of nice as well. But I think the girls decided they'd invite a few boyfriends in. So it's a mixed side,
Yeah.
and it's fantastic. But there are
Yeah.
several others. I mean, there's the Witchmen from Essex Way,
Right.
who go to the Green Man Festival in the Midlands, Anna's Festival.
There's so much magic
Yeah.
and folklore and history attached to it, isn't it? There is something very magical about Morris dancing, and I think as well it's such an English tradition as well, isn't it? That there's something very special about it.
It is, and I mean it is English because there's practically none of it in Scotland.
Right.
For instance, there is in Wales, in South Wales.
Right.
And in the border country, which is, of course, you know, where I am and where the really wild sides, a lot of them come from. But it isn't. There isn't really much of it anywhere else.
No, it is very English, isn't it?
It is.
Very fate.
Have you read John Matthews' books on it?
No, I haven't actually.
Oh, you should. Yeah. Probably Ron Hutton won't like them, but then he never does. Somebody once said to me once, as they saw that I got one of Catlin's books on my shelf, and they said, "Oh, Ron Hutton doesn't think much of her," and I said, "Well, I expect the feeling's mutual."
We've all got different opinions, haven't we?
It's an academics thing too, and I mean, John and Catlin aren't particularly academic, although they are scholars. But they're sort of doers. But John's written a couple of books. I think one of them is The Green Man, which he's really, really delved into all the Morris folklore that he can find.
Okay.
And the folklore, not just what some bloody medieval monk has written. It's like the songs and the stories.
Yeah.
And, okay, let's sort of piece this together from what's been there.
Yeah.
They're really worth it. Really worth a read. So
I do. I think it's fantastic to watch.
Oh God, yeah, I do. We've even booked to go down. Fiona and I booked to go down to Samhain at Boscastle next year because it didn't happen this year.
No.
Well, it sort of did actually. If we'd been able to sneak down there, it actually did. People sort of, well, this is our bubble. We're getting together anyway.
Stuff didn't have next year. Is my diary for next year is already
it's so full.
Hopefully everything will be all right.
Yeah. Well, it seems to be getting a little bit better. It's, that you can organise your own bubbles and try and be safe yourself.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Still, we'll get there.
If the vaccination gets itself going,
Yeah, we will come out the other side of
it. So that's yet more nematons.
Yeah.
So it's sort of reversed back to her again. There's a couple of things I think are really interesting. Down in Nemerensis, which was at a place called, there's votive offerings were found at a 4th century BC place called Aricia, which used to be was the edge of Rome.
Right.
And there she's portrayed as Artemis, the huntress.
Oh, okay.
And she's also that in Brittany.
Right.
And in Brittany, the story legends go, and again, you have to work on the story legends, not what some history book says. But there are people who've actually done a lot of work on that. There's a Frenchman who has, which is really good. And Vivian, who works with Merlin, now in Brittany, she's not the villainess that Tennyson makes her. I mean, she's only been a villainess since Tennyson, and I don't like his poetry anyway. So there, she, like Merlin, was fathered by an otherworldly spirit, and on a human mother, and Vivian was mothered by an otherworldly spirit with a human father.
Right.
And the otherworldly spirit, as far as they can tell, was likely Diana or Artemis.
Right.
And the man she went with, who was, you know, the medieval stories call him a knight, but goodness knows, I mean, you didn't have them going back far enough. Anyway, he was called Dionas, which is ever so close to Diana as well. And I was really interested in that when I was doing all the Merlin research, because Vivian is a lady of the groves.
Right.
And a lady of Broceliande, which of course is one of the most famous forests going.
Yeah.
And with Merlin, and it's sort of like this goddess and god thing going on again. And how they were both half human and half otherworld.
Yeah.
And that this was like a forest thing as well. Oh, and the other thing was that one of the legends say that, and this is quite a late legend, they say that Vivian's godmother was Diana.
Right.
Well, godmother is, of course, another way of saying fairy mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, you know, it's a way of taking it round. And if you sort of think, because the legend is, it might even be very early Norman, but it might be a little bit before that. But if people were a little bit worried that, you know, some Christian bloke was going to come and bang them on the head, you find another way of saying it.
Yes.
And godmother is very valid. I mean, the whole sort of, I mean, Christians have taken on godmother, but it's this mother who looks after your spirit.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah.
In the church.
Your soul and your spirit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's why they're there at your baptism.
Yeah.
Because they're taking care of your soul and your spirit. Yeah. And so, I mean, that's like carried forward into the church from this. So I thought, well, Nemerensis has actually got quite a lot in this.
Yeah, she's having only heard her name and not really done much with her. Although I've only started my research, she crops up quite a lot in unexpected places.
Yeah. And goes back. I mean, some of the stuff that I researched goes back 4,000 or 5,000 years.
Oh yeah, she's definitely one of the ancient ones, isn't she?
Yeah, and not just here in Britain.
Yeah.
And if you sort of look at stories going around, certainly around Europe and the Near East and that, and a little bit in Russia, you find stories that are so similar.
Yeah.
But you also find them when you sort of stretch out further, even into China and into the Americas and Africa, you still find the stories.
Yeah.
With this similarity. And which always makes me think, yeah, this is Mother Earth talking to us in our own language.
Yeah. Just different cultures translate it in different ways. Yeah.
And that's fine.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, you've got to get off and I've got to get off. So I think we ought to tidy this up.
Definitely. Yes, sounds like a plan.
Oh, we will be back, people.
We will, and I shall spend the next couple of weeks working with Nemetona or Nemetona.
To me, she's Nemetona.
Nemetona.
Because you don't say Nemeton.
No, that's true.
And her name is like the spirit of the thing, the Nemeton, the sacred space.
So Nemeton.
So I stick with Nemeton and Nemetona. So ask her, Rachel. She promised I want to be called Frederica, actually. So
yeah. You can come on a weekend. I want to Gladys. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, whatever. Hi. Oh, okay. Lovely to be chatting with you again, girl.
Great fun as always.
Yeah.
And I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.